Hi, Pin Group. In this video, we will cover the grammar section on must and have to. Must and have to are both used to express an obligation, responsibility, or a necessity. But there's a difference in the meaning. With must, we generally use must when the speaker decides that something is necessary or needs to be done. For example, I must write a letter to Boris. In this example, I have decided that I need to write a letter to Boris. Nobody else told me to write it. I personally think that I should write the letter. This is my strong opinion. Here are some examples of when to use must. Let's take a look at the first one. I must book a hotel for my trip next week. Here, I'm reminding myself that it is necessary to do something. I have decided to do this on my own. This is my strong personal opinion. Moving on to have to. We use have to when somebody else other than the speaker has made the decision. For example, I have to write a letter to Boris. Here, my boss told me to write the letter. I did not decide to do it myself. Someone else told me that it is necessary to do it. Here are some examples. We have to wear a uniform at work. This is an example of a rule or regulation that is set by another person. Tylon and Elida have to pay their rent every month. This is a rule probably set by the owner of the flat. They have to show their passport to obtain a visa. So in order to get a visa, they have to show their passport. This is a rule that is set by the government. I would like to pull your attention to this part right here. When you are using these pronouns, please don't forget that you need to use has to. She has to turn in her homework on Friday, or he has to turn in his homework on Friday. These are all examples of rules and regulations that are set by someone else. Now, when we compare the meaning of must and have to, the teacher says, "You must complete the essay by Friday." The student says, "We have to complete the essay by Friday." The teacher used must because he or she is giving the students an obligation. Since the teacher has given the students the obligation, the students use have to. This is because somebody else, in this case the teacher, has told the student what needs to be done. Here's a summary chart. The main thing that you have to remember here is that when using must, the speaker thinks that the situation or the decision is necessary. When using have to, another person thinks it's necessary. Moving on to the negative form, must not and don't have to. There's a big difference in meaning between must not and don't have to. Must not means that it is important that you do not do something. This is a strong personal opinion about the necessity of not doing something. With don't have to, you're not required to do something, especially if you don't want to do it. Let's take a look at the examples for must not. You must not drink that milk. It is rotten. This is a strong personal opinion to not do something. You mustn't tell Sarah about her surprise party. This means that the speaker thinks it is not a good idea for you to tell Sarah about her surprise party. Let's come down to the final example right here. They must not feed the lions at the zoo. Well, that's a very strong personal opinion. It's not very smart to feed the lions at the zoo, so they must not do it. Examples of don't have to. You don't have to tell Angela that her hair looks bad. This is a lack of necessity. So if you want, you can tell Angela that her hair looks bad, but you don't have to. Let's come on down to the last example here. You don't have to eat broccoli if you don't like it. You have an option. You have a choice. You can eat it, but you don't have to. This is the lack of necessity. In summary, when we use must not, this means that it's necessary not to do it. Fire is dangerous. You mustn't play with it. Don't have to do something. This means that you don't need to do it. But if you want, you can. You don't have to tell me everything. But if you want, you can.